Okay, so let's do this. So we have episode 2. We are now doing the Western Conference of the NHL. So we're going to do the standings of the Central Division first. And I got a little bit of different setup over here. So we're going to actually just start and we're going to go, let's go to it. So let's go click on the screen. So we can see we have 1 through 8 for the Central Division. So we're going to start at the bottom, like Drake. We said we start out from the bottom. Now we're here. And so we're going to start at the bottom. So let's start with number 8, and we'll just kind of get going with this thing. So for number 8, we have, of course, the Arizona Coyotes. We all know they're all trying to be bad. And I got my notes right here. So talking about some of the things they did. They got Nick Bukestad for a year. They actually acquired Zach Kassian from the Edmonton Oilers in a trade. That was pretty much a capped up. Patrick Nemeth, I thought was a pretty good pickup because they got him from New York. Again, they actually just traded. They actually tried to get rid of him, and so which was surprising. So they just traded him and got rid of him. I think they got a second round pick for him. But Nemeth was really good. I think it was 2 years ago at the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, they didn't make out a second round unlike this year. So picked up Troy Stecher as well, who also played in the Red Wings. She got traded off to LA last year. Josh Brown was a good pickup. They got a 2-year contract there. And of course, Karel Vejmelka, who was a backup goalie, but he's good. I mean, he's got a 3-year contract, so he'll be a good start. So we all know the Coyotes are going to be bad. They are in a college arena. They are sharing it with the ASU Sun Devils. How exciting. And I think the reason so we have Chicago on this list too, and we'll just show you guys. So Chicago is number 7 in my list, but I want to stick back with the Arizona Coyotes because the thing is with Arizona is that what they're trying to do is they are trying to be bad, just like the Blackhawks. But I think the Arizona is actually going to be good for a little bit, but I think it's going to be quite of a deterrent. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad that they're in a college arena. They're going to feel distraught. I think there's a lot of turmoil in the locker room right now. There's a lot of frustration. The players are already talking about that now, and it's only the season's just started. And so, of course, you're going to lose one of your best players. Jacob Chychrun is going to be traded. In my last video, if you didn't see, I did say he was going to get traded to the Ottawa Senators. That's my prediction, in which why I have the Ottawa Senators being the 3rd team in the playoffs. I know they got a rough start right now, but I think they are going to be really good because I do believe that they are going to get Chychrun. We know that they're really going hard after it. Of course, several teams are. I think also the Oilers are as well, but they have no cap room. And I don't know how they're going to be able to make those gymnastics work. I mean, either way, I think Chychrun needs to get out of Arizona. I think Arizona needs to do their proper rebuild and get rid of their key pieces, just like the Blackhawks did. But the Blackhawks still are staying relevant. They did pick up some good pieces. So let's actually move on. So I got Arizona sticking at 8th. We got Chicago Blackhawks next. We got them at 7th. So the reason I do think they are going to be pretty good is they do have some pretty good pieces. I'm going to say rephrase. They're not going to be good. Okay, they are not going to be good. They are actually going to be bad, but they have some good pieces that they did that have been good previously. And so let's start positive first. So first off, they did sign Max Domi and Andreas Anthony. I can't say his name. I couldn't say him when he played on the Red Wings, and I heard it on the record, right? I heard it on as Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond were talking about. I couldn't even say it. Athanasiou. There you go. Andreas Athanasiou. Both hot and cold players. Mostly third line, maybe second liners, right? But Andreas Athanasiou is quick. He had a 30-goal season. Max Domi is also. So they're both dynamic players that have the ability to be good. And you know that because they're doing these 1-year contracts for $3 million each, by the way, both did $3 million. They are trying to prove themselves. They're trying to show that they want to be on a contender, that they are able to. And I think the fact that Chicago got them at a reasonable contract at $3 million is actually pretty good because what they can do is they can retain half of that they can retain $1.5 million, and then they can ship that off to a contender, which would be good because that's what Chicago needs to do. They need to get rid of their they need to acquire assets, which is what they did. They acquired these assets, and they're going to flip them at the deadline because they know they have value. Max Domi had value. He got traded off to Carolina, and so they know they have value. They also picked up Colin Blackwell. He's a good forward, but It's a 2-year contract, so we'll see how good that goes. And so Peter Mrazek as well from Toronto. I know that they took on that contract. Peter Mrazek, when healthy, is good. Again, another asset that is good if stays healthy. Now, if he can stay healthy. So, well, let's hopefully he can stay healthy. But I think that he will hold up well. I think he's going to get shelled because the defense on Chicago is not very good. They trade everything away. So, but they did pick up Jack Johnson, which I thought was really nice because Jack Johnson did play with Colorado last year. And so that was really nice when they did the banner raising recently. In Colorado, it was against Chicago, and Jack Johnson was able to come over and actually celebrate with them in the banner raising, which I thought was really nice. So, and lastly, they picked up Alex Stalock as well. So Alex Stalock he's okay. He's a goalie. He's an in between goalie. He's definitely he's a 2.2, and he's a backup and a half. I'd say he's not fully backup, but he'll do, I guess. I think the cool thing about Chicago is they also have Soderblom, which is Elmer Soderblom's brother, who plays goalie. So you have these two massive kids. One plays goalie. Other one, Elmer Soderblom, if you haven't heard him already, he's 6'8", 230 pounds, one of the largest people in the NHL right now. But 6'8", you think, oh, that would be a forward or a defenseman. Nope, it's a forward. So the cool thing is that he gets to play against his brother. He actually scored on his brother in the preseason. So I'm excited for them to have him. I think, they're going to run mostly Peter Mrazek and Alex Stalock until their contracts are done, and they're going to allow Soderblom to grow. Let him go in the AHL, let him grow, and let him just thrive and get his confidence and refine some of the skills and understand his positioning better, so that when they do decide to get good in the next couple of years, they can do that. So let's talk about the big losses. They didn't qualify Dylan Strome. They didn't qualify Dominic Kubalik. Both RFAs, and Kubalik went to sign 2 years with Detroit. Strome with Washington. And I'm avoiding this one right now. Okay, I'm avoiding these two. I'll start with the easy one. Kirby Dach. They got rid of Kirby Dach. 3rd overall 2019 draft. He is a phenomenal player, but he just hasn't really worked out to the full extent of his draft year. That's the issue, is that a lot of these kids, they're drafted at these high positions. And of course, they have higher marks because they're spending high draft capital on them. And when they don't pan out, it can be very frustrating for a team. So I don't understand why they traded Kirby Dach. I think it was a little too early. I think he hasn't worked out that well. But I don't think it's out of the question to be able to just say, hey, like maybe he just need more time to develop. But I think, of course, I think Kirby Dach on the Montreal Canadiens is going to be a little more sheltered, which will be nice for him. So let them. They have the time. They're also rebuilding. They're a little further along the rebuild, but let Kirby Dach hang out the 3rd line, 4th line. Let him slowly develop and let him take his time. And then the biggest loss, Alex DeBrincat. They traded him for a 1st, a 2nd, and a 4th, I believe, to Ottawa Senators. Huge pickup, 40 goal scorer. I honestly don't know why they traded him. They should have just kept him and built the team around him. And you just continue. You're bad. You be bad, but then build the team around Alex DeBrincat. Allow him to become the captain eventually. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. But I think Alex is really happy to be in a different place. I think he's excited to be working with Brady, and I think he's excited with all those other kids. So we'll see how it works out. So let's go to the next one. I have the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, so the Winnipeg Jets, again, what I talked about in this is this whole division didn't get better. I wrote it down right here. I have 1, 2, 3, 5 teams got worse. I got 6 teams got worse. 1 got better. 1 stayed, in my opinion, neutral. Winnipeg actually got worse, and the reason they got worse is they didn't do much. They signed Dave Riddick. Wasn't good last year in Nashville. Sam Gagner, great veteran, but this is probably more of a stabilizing the locker room, as well as they signed Pierre-Luc Dubois for another year. Their losses weren't anything crazy. Then Evgeny Svechnikov, Adam Brooks, Paul Stastny. So Paul Stastny leaving. You're bringing in Sam Gagner as that leadership, and Eric Comrie went to go with Buffalo. So you're not losing anything crazy. I think Eric Comrie is a little bit more of a loss than Dave Ritter is not that good. I don't. He's Big Save Dave. And the reason they call him that is because he makes these big saves because he's out of position. So, anyways, so they got worse in my opinion. They definitely still got worse. They did, and it's not the players. It's not the players that they got worse about. It's we all see it. It's the locker room. So we're seeing that the locker room is toxic in there. Blake Wheeler lost his captaincy, and then he didn't even get an A. So he didn't requalify as an assistant captain. They're saying, hey man, you were the leader in this room. Now you are a regular player, and you don't have the same say. He might have a similar say. I don't know how the locker room works in there. He might be able to step on the soapbox, but honestly, that is such a huge blow, not only to ego, but that really sends a message. And I think that's huge for Pete DeBoer. By the way, new coach, Pete DeBoer, come in, who used to be with the Dallas Stars. We'll be talking about later. Dallas Stars, who he was more offensive minded, which is good because Paul Maurice, who used to be the coach, he's now in Florida. Interesting choice. Is going to be a lot more helpful for them to try and score goals. So we'll see them get a little more offensive. We know they have Connors, they have Scheifele, they have Wheeler, they have some good. I mean, and let's be honest, one of the best goalies in the absolutely top 5, Connor Hellebuck, one of the best goalies. In my opinion, I mean, I'm a little biased because I am from Michigan, and he actually played at Walled Lake Northern, which is right by my school that I grew up in. And so I'm a little biased. My brother played against his brother, so I, of course, want him to thrive. But, I think Connor Hellebuck, I'm not only biased because, the stats show he's a really great goalie as well. So I think that he's going to need to have a better year than last year. But I don't think that you can just rely on the goalie. You need to build a system around it. And we were seeing that with other teams. I'm just keep going back to the Eastern Conference, honestly, because I'm a Red Wings fan, so that's all I can think about. That's not all I can think about, but it's one of my ones I think about a lot. So, anyways, again, did not get better. And the reason they didn't get better is because they had to fire their coach. They lost they didn't lose their captain. The captain lost their position, which I think is even worse. And you just kind of it makes waves, and I just don't know what they're going to do to get better. So I think they're going to need to do a retool. So we'll see if they're able to do that and kind of flip some of these pieces and start to kind of mess around. Maybe I think I'm thinking they're going to trade away Scheifele and probably Wheeler if people will take them. I don't even know if they have no movement clauses or not. So that's another thing get tossed in the mix. So next up, Dallas Stars. So with the Dallas Stars, I'm actually going to take a quick break. 1 second. All right, continuing on, we got Dallas Stars. So I actually do believe this. So I wanted to look back, and I do have the Dallas Stars actually missing the playoffs, and the reason being, again, they didn't get better. They really didn't get much better. In my opinion, they didn't do much. The one thing that they did do that it was kind of on par is that they signed Jason Robertson. You have an young player who scored over 40 goals, so sign him, get it done, and that's basic. And so that's the thing, is that you're just now status quo. You didn't jump better, right? If you lost him, huge loss. If you signed him, standard. It's what you should have done. So to me, that is did something, but didn't do much in my opinion. So they extended Pavelski. Love Pavelski. Huge Shark fan. Just saying. Huge Shark fan. So my second favorite team to the Red Wings. Ottinger locked that up. Huge. Do that because Ottinger was phenomenal in the playoffs last year. I don't think it's enough for them to carry him again, but we'll see. Will Butcher, not much. Colin Miller, fine. Mason Marchment, that was a good pickup. I thought that was a good pickup for them. A good price, $4 million over 4 years. A little long, but that's how free agency is. You usually pay $1 million more, and you usually play one more year. That's just how it is. Just so you don't make it work. They did lose, and they got Nils Lundqvist. So they did pay up him for a first round draft. Kind of a big, to me, that's a huge payment and the Dallas Stars are actually, so it goes Red Wings, Sharks, Stars. Nils Lundqvist, a first-round pick. It was in a crowded New York Rangers system. I understand why he wanted out. That makes sense. But to me, you don't pay a first round for that. I mean, and we know that Dallas is the reason they're paying this is because they're saying, hey, I think it's a 2024, 2023. They're saying, hey, we're paying this now because we believe that we're going to be better. So I think Niels Lundqvist is in the lower half of the draft. So they said, hey, we think this guy will be better than the person we draft because we think we're going to go far. I think they're wrong, personally. They did bring in a different coach. They did bring in Pete DeBoer, who was aggressive. He did really well in Vegas, I thought. But the problem is he's very offensive, which is great. Hopefully it brings a little bit more defensiveness, and hopefully he can bring out Seguin and Ben. That's the key factor. I just don't have a lot of faith because in the last couple of years we just haven't seen much from Seguin and Ben. So I think that we're not going to see much with that. So we'll see. I mean, but now they did lose Klingberg for nothing. By the way, he signed 1 year in Anaheim. We'll talk about that later. He got screwed. He should have made bank. The Dallas Stars. I'm going to go off on it. The Dallas Stars offered him 7x7, so 7 years, $7 million, and now he has signed a 1 year contract in Anaheim for $7 million. So now it's a prove it deal, and he got bad advice from his agent. He fired his agent, rightfully so, because he got screwed. He should have made a bag, and now we know that Anaheim's going to trade him at the deadline, and he's going to go into free agency, which is fine. So good for him. Hopefully he gets what he can. Hopefully he has a phenomenal year. I'm cracking my knuckles over it, sorry. Vlad Nemestikov, I liked him in Detroit. Good pickup for Tampa Bay. Radulov, he was slowing down. He went to the KHL. Good for him. Let him do his thing. Holtby's a bummer. He played well when he was healthy. And Ben Bishop, his contract traded to Buffalo. I'm bummed. And the worst part about Ben Bishop is that I really liked him. I thought he was good in Tampa. I was bummed Eichmann traded him, so whatever. And Dallas picked him up, and he got injured, and he just didn't get to play because he was so injured so much. And then the Dallas Stars like, okay, no problem. We'll trade your contract off, and then we'll bring you over, man. We'll sign you. We'll bring you in as a goalie coach. We'll use you, man. And then the NHL's like, no, his contract's with Buffalo. He has to work for Buffalo if he wants to work anywhere. So he didn't get to go to hang out with Dallas. So I think this contract's got 1 more year, and then he can go to Dallas, I believe. So we'll see. Well, hopefully Dallas can pick him up as a coach or something like that. So next off, we're going into who I believe are going to be in the playoffs. Okay, we got the Predators. Again, a team that actually got better, in my opinion. So not huge losses. I'm not even going to list them because they weren't that great losses. They did pick up Ryan McDonagh on a cap dump, which I thought was huge from the Tampa Bay Lightning, which I thought was good. I mean, Tampa needed to dump cap, and they said, hey, we want to give you somewhere you want to go. He said he wanted to go to Nashville, and so they took him, which is awesome. And they just traded up a couple people a couple prospects or something like that to Tampa a little bit. Again, contract dumps essentially. Nino Niederreiter from Carolina picked him free agency. That was a good pickup. I think that'll be underrated. He picked him for a 2-year contract. I think that Nino Niederreiter is going to pan out really well for them, and I think that if they don't want to keep him after the 2 years, they'll trade him for sure. And I mean the biggest thing is they got Philip Forsberg. The mustache on that dude is sexy. Let's be honest. My wife doesn't even like mustaches. She would admit that's sexy. So Philip Forsberg, great goal scorer, leader on the team. Of course, you have Josi. I mean, you have hopefully Duchesne and Johansson have another phenomenal year, but they really need to pull it out this year, and I think they will. I think Dallas just didn't get better. Again, they didn't get better. Nashville did. And Nashville was competitive. They were like a point or two away from knocking out Dallas, so from being in the playoffs. So it was down to the wire. I think Nashville got better, so I think they're going to go further. So next, we have the Minnesota Wild. Again, another team got worse. In my opinion, got worse. They lost Talbot. I mean, there was clearly frustration there because they brought on Fleury. I mean, they lost Fiala too. Fiala, of course, didn't have a huge much time with Kaprizov, but he was a key player. He had a lot of points. I think he was like a point per game player. So now he's down in LA. They picked up Philip Gustafsson from Ottawa with the Cam Talbot trade. They signed Alex Goligoski. That's fine. Jordan Greenway got an extension. Middleton. Oh, Jacob Middleton was good. He was in San Jose. It was cool because San Jose brought him up and he played like 50 games or something like that. And then suddenly they traded him away and now he's got a 3-year contract. So it was awesome. And it worked out really well for him. I thought Sam Steele was a good pickup. Nice veteran presence. Again, of course, you got Kaprizov, the Calder winner. I mean, he had so many points. He had like almost like over 100 points. So I think it's huge. I think they got better. And the cool thing is they just got to muddle their way through this next year because this is where their huge cap troubles are. Is this year, so they seem to be they have a team. They have something to work with, and so hopefully they can make again. I don't know if they're making any moves at the free agency because they have to. I don't know how they're going to do have the cap space, but we'll see. I think they're going to be better. So hopefully they get better. I mean, I think they did get better. So I think they're going to be third. Then we have St. Louis, and of course you can guess number one. I mean, come on, you can guess number one. So St. Louis. The reason I picked St. Louis over Minnesota is because St. Louis is a trial by fire. I'm using the wrong analogy, but there's not a key good player. Like, so you look at Minnesota, you say Kaprizov. I chose when Kaprizov or Minnesota and the Blues were going against each other in the playoffs last year. I said, hey, I'm going with the Wild because they have an X factor. They have Kaprizov. Like, that's the guy that's going to take them. But to me, the Blues have a similar team makeup to Nashville. Nashville does have Forsberg, who's kind of a game breaker, and kind of Yossi. But St. Louis has a lot of good players. They're all, I think, last year they had 8 guys with 20 goals or something like that. So it's no matter what line you're going, there's a lot of production throughout the whole team, which I think is huge. Huge losses. Ville Husso. He was great in the regular season, kind of sloppy in the playoffs. Jordan Binnington taking over for that. And the thing is Detroit traded a 3rd-round pick for Ville Husso, and then St. Louis went out and picked up Thomas Greiss, who played for Detroit. So I think that Greiss is a downgrade than Husso, of course, but it's probably I think Greiss would be good because it'd be a veteran presence as opposed to another young guy like Husso. There's a lot of value to having 2 young guys, but having the old guy like Greiss, who's been there, done that, he was a phenomenal goalie with the Islanders. There's a lot of value to having the veteran presence there. So I think Jordan Binnington will learn a lot from him and being stable, emotionally stable. Come on, Binnington. Of course, they did lose Perron as well. And the thing is with Perron is consistent guy. I mean, almost a point per game player for the last 5 years, something like that. I mean, he's been to Vegas, he was in St. Louis a couple times, and he actually picked up his first contract out in Detroit that wasn't signed by St. Louis. So good. Those are big loss. I actually really like Charlie Lindgren. I thought that was actually a loss to me because I don't know what their goalie depth looks like anymore. To me, it was always going to be Binnington, Husso, and then Lindgren. And we all knew that Husso was going to leave. I just didn't think that Lindgren was going to leave as well. So I thought Washington was a good pickup. I mean, he's not proven. Again, he's young. I think the fact that he got a 3-year contract from Washington's a little bit much, but hopefully it's good. And then we got Josh Leiva picked up a contract, Noel Chari, and the other 2 big. They signed Nick Leddy, who they got from Detroit last year. They traded Nick Leddy last year for Oscar Sundqvist, Jake Wallman, and a 2nd-round pick. And I was like, "Oh, you guys want Nick Leddy for 4 more years? Okay, you can have him." I just don't think he's fine. He's got a lot of holes. I think that there's a lot of holes in him, man. I think he's offensive enough. The defensive side definitely lacks there. So, but locking up Robert Thomas and Kyrou are huge for them. So good for them. Good for them for doing it. So, of course, again, they have a lot of scores. They've been consistently good scorers. So hopefully we can see that they're going to take that next step with each other, and that they can. Again, it's trial by fire. I'm going to use it. It's trial by fire. It's consistent. It's just boom. They just keep knocking at you and it's scoring. Now just hold up that back end will be huge for them. So hopefully Nick Leddy and Thomas Greiss can do it. So we'll see. I mean, again, I have them in 2nd. So I think that they're going to be good. I think they have plenty of pieces. So I think that they will thrive in their position. So, and of course, last one we have is the Colorado Avalanche. So, what do you want to say? They're the 2022 Stanley Cup champion. So did have big losses. Jack Johnson signed with Chicago. Nico Sturm's gone. Nick Aube-Kubel, who dented the Stanley Cup. He dented the Stanley Cup. So that tells you anything about what is the power that Toronto's picking up. Kadri, huge loss. 7-year contract, 7x7 out in Calgary. We'll talk about Calgary in the next. I think at this point we're gonna go next video at this point, but we'll talk about Calgary later. Good for them. They also lost Andrei Burakovsky. They're gonna miss him, and Darcy Kemper, who was average, which is fine. That's all you really want from the goalie in the playoffs is you want him to be average, because when you have a team that's pretty stacked, when you have Makar and you have Byram in the back end, just average goaling, average goaltending, which is why the cool thing is that they picked up Alex Georgiev from the New York Rangers. They signed him to a 3-year contract, and you know what you're gonna get from Alex Georgiev? Average goaltending, and you got him probably for, I think he's cheaper than Kemper, so good. Let him go. Let him have this fun, right? They also picked up since they lost Kadri, they picked up Evan Rodriguez, which I thought was a smart pickup because he played really well. I can't believe it went this long without getting a contract, but I think that he was really good at Pittsburgh when Sidney Crosby was out. Really good when Sidney Crosby was out. And also in the center of the depth, they had Darren Helm. He just got hurt recently, but they also have Alex Newhook. So this gives him time to develop. This gives him time to just learn and grow as a player. And so hopefully we'll see him take up the mantle and everything. So, but Evan Rodriguez is a good bumper in that case. Of course, locking up Nathan MacKinnon, highest paid player in the league. You know, Connor McDavid's got to go 12.6, and so Nathan McKinnon's got to go 12.7. I love that. I love the pettiness. I love it. It won't be long. I mean, Matthews will overtake him as well as McDavid. They're both, they're going to get maxed out probably at this point. Josh Manson they picked up from Anaheim in the deadline last year, and of course they kept him. And same thing with Arturi Lehkonen, they kept him as well. So they picked up Mason they got him a 4-year contract from the Anaheim Ducks, and Arturi Lehkonen from the Montreal Canadiens at 5-year contract. So good for them. They that's not what you see very often. You saw it with Florida. They traded a first round for Giroux, and they traded a first round Shabbat. Shabbat's with centers. Florida traded a first round for Giroux and a first round for Ben Sherratt, and they didn't keep either of them. Giroux went to the Senators, and Sherratt went to Detroit. So right there, you not only lost the assets you just traded for, you lost the first rounder too. So the cool thing that's a good thing about Colorado is they say, hey, like, we want to keep you. Here's a contract, right? And they also locked in Valerie Nichushkin, who ended up being a game breaker for some reason, and they signed her to an 8-year contract at a very reasonable price. So, good job, Colorado. So, I think this is where we're gonna go. I think that we're gonna wrap this video up. I think we're gonna do a part 2. The last one took a long time. I think it was the last one was 45 minutes. I'm already 28 minutes in, and I've only done half the conference. I like this style; it gives me something to reference and everything. So. If you like it, check it out. Like, subscribe. New to this, so I'm having fun with it though. So let me know how you like this setup. If you want any different, I'm going to add something, subtract something, do something different with my microphone, my voice. Am I too loud, too quiet, whatever? Let me know. And I know I got to stutter and mumble, so we're gonna work through that, man. So, anyways, let me know. Like and subscribe. All that jazz. See ya.